Hi everyone, it's Katja here with another BookTube video, and today's video covers fantasy, slice of life, translated fiction, non-fiction, and thriller. We start off with Legion and the Emperor's Soul. Now, this actually combines two short stories into one volume. And the first short story is furthermore a collection of titled novellas, one of which is Legion, the next is Skin Deep, and finally we have Lies of the Beholder. The main character in Legion is Stephen Leeds, and he can learn and become an expert on subjects almost instantaneously. But to avoid losing his sanity from information overload, his mind ensures that he has multiple personas to retain the information for him, hence the title Legion, because he is Legion. These personas are aspects. They each have their own personalities and they guide him along whatever challenge is assigned to him. It keeps you guessing as well in terms of the mysteries that are in the plot, but there are hints dotted throughout. So when you get to the end, you're like, oh, okay. And I like that concept of psychology as a superpower. And there are so many rules that he has to actually follow as well that makes it an interesting read in terms of how he interacts with his different aspects. So very, very cleverly done. You wouldn't expect less from Brandon Sanderson's work, and I think it is one that I would recommend for anyone who is new to Brandon Sanderson. Having said that, it is an easy read in terms of enjoyability, but less so in terms of backstory and mission for Stephen, anyway. So I would say the next one, The Emperor's Soul, is actually the easier read, and therefore the even better one to start with if you're a newbie. It tells a story of Shay, a forger who can flawlessly copy and recreate an item by rewriting its history with skillful magic. Condemned to death after trying to steal the Emperor's scepter, she is given an opportunity to save herself. So the concept for Shay's skill is brilliant and the characters are wonderfully complex. Somehow the whole story feels complete in a really short time. All the key bits were present with the character arcs, and the pacing was on point. I want to keep the subplots for Legion and for this one secret, or it would take away your opportunity to experience the really well timed revelations. The Empress Soul would be, as I say, a good introduction to Sanderson's writing. I think another lot that would be useful for newbies, if you want to go for full novel rather than short story, would be the standalones of Elantris and Warkeeper. I'm saying standalone, but I think one or both of them is going to become duology or duologies. Next, we have translated fiction. Please Look After Mother by Kyung Suk Shin. And this was a buddy read with Joe Smith, who helped me not go into reading slump. I was on the brink of one, slowed down my reading, and then thankfully did not succumb to it. Although a break is, never a bad thing. Anyway, this is one of the most popular Kyung Suk Shin translated books, and I thought it might be, my top one, but it's got second place in my rankings. The first one for me is The Girl Who Wrote Loneliness. That is still my favorite. I do still have one from her to read that's already been published, and one that's coming out later this year. I think it's called I Went to See My Father. I'll put it in the subtitles. So, in Please Look After Mother, we have a mother. Her disappearance leads to self examination by each of the family members. Now, while Joe and I enjoyed this read, we agreed the reflections of the family went beyond acknowledging the strengths of the now missing mum and portrayed a woman so remarkable to be unrealistic. The first few revelations worked well, but after a while it started to feel overdone in terms of how much this woman has done and wasn't really noticed. The mother disappears at a subway station in Seoul, separated from her husband by the pressing crowds. She devoted her life to her marriage and her children, multiple rural occupations, and encouraged all her children to fulfill their potential. Now, the invisible woman theme is one that I've noticed a lot in Korean books, and I think that's understandable given culture and history And it certainly also made me think more contemporary style. Well, I suppose this book is also contemporary, but My Liberation Notes, which is a K drama, aired last May, that is a really good depiction of it as well. Um, yeah, not my favorite K drama of all time because of the end. I think the end could have been better, but I'd recommend it if you're interested. So, back to the book. I think it touches well on Korea's social shift from rural to urban and how family bonds are often constructed and maintained by self denying mothers and grandmothers. The narrative is subdued and really thought provoking. So it's got the usual feel that you get with Kyung Suk Shin's writing. My criticism is that the characters all felt really tangible, three-dimensional until the mother was elevated to that level above mere mortals. And then I sort of felt like a bit distanced from the writing then. White Teeth by Zadie Smith. This is a slice of life novel that was published in 2000. Large in scope, the story feels more like several different stories occurring. There's no one central plot, and it's a chronicle of the lives of two eccentric families living in London, and it's got so much humor right from the start. Starting with a distraught and disorientated Archie, a middle aged British man, clearly experiencing a midlife crisis based on the scene. I don't want to give it away, but he ends up at an end of world party and meets his future wife, Jamaican Clara Bowden. 19 to his 47, statuesque, towering over him, and missing her upper teeth from a motorcycle mishap. They are an unlikely couple and are soon married. And they move in close to Archie's World War II buddy, Samad Iqbal, a Bengali Muslim. The story then really starts and it's fast paced. Expect true to life mayhem. We've got Archie and Clara's daughter, Irie, and Samad's twin sons. Gonna have to have a quick think. Majid and Milat. Although the themes are serious, the delivery is wonderfully wry, and the dialogue helps make these complex characters seem oh so real. The different stories or different scenes provide insightful commentary on race relations, religion, and much, much more. So it's a favorite for me. The Ghost Bride, a fascinating supernatural tale set in 1893 colonial Malaya. Young Leland's family was once rich and respected, but after her mother succumbed to smallpox when she was 4, her father, who survived the illness, becomes lost in his grief and squanders the family fortune in a haze of opium. So that is the premise. Our main character, Leland, is then horrified by a suggestion from her father when he asks, will you consent to become a ghost bride to the dead son of our neighbors, the Lims, Malacca's wealthiest family? So, in her father's mind, she would live out her days in luxury, even if it's not the future she anticipated. So, the concept's really good. I think it was really well developed in terms of blurring the sleeping world, the waking world, and the spirit world. So Leland is then caught up in a nightmare of rude ghosts, ox headed demons, and spirits eager for her to cross over and join them. It seems like more than enough to deal with, but then she also has to deal with her first crush and a mysterious stranger in a broad brimmed hat, as well as an elderly spirit servant and a rare steed, but the last two are less complicated. Now, I love the world building, and I wish some parts of the book had been retained in the TV series because I had a quick look at the TV series to see how they compare. Still, I think the TV series was right to streamline the subplots and reduce the number of characters. Square Haunting. Dorothy L. Sayers' fictional mystery writer Harriet Vane was a fiercely independent woman who lived in a one-bedroom flat in Mecklenburg Square, an elegant Georgian square in Bloomsbury. This is the same WC1 address she had when she moved to London. So that's Dorothy L. Sayers. The author, Francesca Wade, shows the reader how this address was synonymous in the minds of creative women at the time as a place where they had space to create and bring to life their work. God, I've still got something there. We'll see how I go. Wade's book is thoroughly engaging and educational. So I forgot that this was nonfiction at some points because, as in real life, this, like it can be stranger than fiction. And with this being a nonfiction, some of these lives are like way out there. The book introduced me to literary works I wasn't aware of before. It includes sections for the modernist poet Hilda Doolittle, known as HD, the maverick classicist Jane Ellen Harrison, the economic historian Eileen Power, and the novelist and essayist Virginia Woolf. And then we move on to The Old Woman with the Knife, and I enjoyed this a lot more than I anticipated because I've seen some middling reviews for it. It is translated fiction from a Korean author. A chance encounter causes a 65-year-old Korean assassin to question what she's always done to survive. Now, I can easily imagine this book's transition to the screen. There are fabulous fight scenes, wonderfully vivid, and don't imagine that they're over within a flash. These are substantial fight scenes you'd expect from assassin or spy movies. And that's probably why some people haven't enjoyed it as much. If they don't want protracted, it wasn't quite protracted, but long fight scenes, then I can understand. Our main character has the codename Hornclaw and is an aging disease control specialist with 45 years of career experience in eliminating targets her clientele considers vermin. Like other assassins in the agency, she doesn't ask questions, she just takes action. Even as an assassin, Hornclaw must navigate the same nonsense that an office worker might. So, performance management, frustrating bureaucracy, and flippant younger colleagues. Now, with her health diminishing, and chance encounters like nice looking families, gentle stray dogs, and all the rest, she is starting to feel uncharacteristically sentimental and emotional. I've come to expect Korean novels to touch on harsh economic realities of the past and how that's led to the present day. The book fulfilled that expectation. It even shows the challenges younger people have in finding employment, but does so in a humorous way at the end of the book. And also links in some trade union and employment rights talk, which is a legacy of the 80s when there were a lot of work abuses. The book touches on poverty currently among senior citizens when we come across small scale street vendors and independent litter pickers and the like. So, these glimpses of harsh social realities, past and present, add to our understanding of Hornclaw's evolution from an innocent, poverty stricken girl to a hardened assassin, because we really see her growing up in that shadow of post war. Korea, South Korea. I wish the character arcs had actually been given more time to develop because I feel that they had such interesting backgrounds and we couldn't explore that. So maybe the author was trying to keep the story under a particular number of pages. I don't know what the decision was. It doesn't suffer hugely from being somewhat streamlined at 288 pages. I'm finding myself sort of defending the book, and I think that's because I've just seen middling reviews, and it's found me at the right time. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, let me know if you've read or are planning to read any of these books. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for joining me, and take care. Bye.